Hi, I'm George Strunk. Welcome to week 4 of our Christ in Me series. In week 1, we learned that we get started on this journey of the life we've always wanted by rooting our sense of self firmly in God. In week 2, we learned that the Holy Spirit is there to help us, for Paul tells us the mind that is guided by the Spirit is life and peace. And last week, we began to look at healthy emotions and how those things that stand in the way need to be cast away like old rags. I gave you an acronym of RAGS: resentments, anxieties, greeds, and superiorities. Those things that stand in the way of God working in us, and how we can begin to cast those off, as Paul admonishes to, by throwing them away like old clothes and putting on what Christ has instead. We looked at anger and how it is that we can ask God to be our manager of anger and even manage our non-anger, so that the resentments can be taken away from us. And this week we're looking at anxieties. Next week we'll look at greed and superiority, but this week the anxieties that are born of fear. Paul says to his protege Timothy that the spirit that God has given you is not one of timidity but of boldness. God does not want us to live our lives in fear. God has given us a different spirit. In fact, the scriptures tell us that love and fear cannot abide together. And this week, as we journey together, I hope in your small discussion groups or even alone, you're going to begin to ask the questions about how you can, number one, run to God when you're afraid, so that in His presence, knowing that you're loved, fear can be cast from your life. And second, you can begin to practice pushing yourself, not just to think about it, to do things to allow fear to be removed. That as we begin to trust in God, we discover He is sufficient. Life change happens best when you're in a small group. So if you're having trouble finding a group, let me know and someone will be in touch with you. But as you make this journey, help each other, ask each other questions, and pray for each other that we may find the life we've always wanted.